Okay, 30% of 1200 is what? So now, when we're translating this, this is basically a sentence in English, and we have to translate this into a mathematical equation. And there's certain key words that always translate the same way. For example, when you have the word of followed by a number, that means multiplication. And when you have the word is, that generally translates to an equal sign. So now, when we're translating this sentence into a mathematical equation, 30%, well, if you see over here on the right, 30% is not a number. 30% is more of an adjective. It means 30 parts per 100, or 30 divided by 100. And so if you put that into the calculator, 30 divided by 100, you get 0.3. So the 30%, that's 0.3 of, that's multiplication, 1200. Well, 1200 is already a number, so that's fine. 1200 that's our equal sign. And what? Well, we know 30% of a number is another number. We just don't know what that number is yet. So we give it a symbol. And basically, in math, in algebra, a variable is it's a temporary placeholder for a number. And so this what number, we'll call that x for now. And x will be our symbol. And so here's the mathematical equation that's equivalent to the original problem. So we have 30% of 1200 is what? All right, and so on the left-hand side of the equation, we have 0.3 times 1200. We could pop that into the calculator. If you do 0.3 times 1200, you will get 360. And so in this case, that's our answer. 30% of 1200 is what? Well, now we know 30% of 1200 is 360. All right, so let's continue on to the next problem. There's 4 problems in this video. So using the same approach in problem number 2, what is 4% of 3500? And so we see again, we have the word of followed by a number. So of 3500 is times 3500. All right, so let's see. We have what? Well, we don't know what that number is yet, so we'll give it a symbol. We'll call it x. So what is, remember is means equals, 4%, remember 4% is 4 out of 100, and if you put 4 over 100 into the calculator, or 4 divided by 100, you get 0.04. So what is 4% of is multiply, 3500, and 3500 is already a number, so we don't need to change that. Okay, so again, in this case, x equals, well, x is the number we're looking for. That's the what in the original problem. So what is 4% of 3500? I'm going to pull up the calculator for that one. 0.04 times 3500. And we have x is equal to 140. All right, so moving on. What is 5 3/5% of $70,400? Now, it's very easy to translate from decimals to percents, or percents to decimals. That equates to just moving the decimal point 2 places. So fractions are a little less convenient. So let's just get rid of that fraction. Let's get rid of the 5 3/5. Let me erase that for now. So 5 3/5. Well, the 3/5, remember, fractions, like basically the word fraction means divide. So the fraction 3/5 means 3 divided by 5. And if you divide, if you open up the calculator and you say 3 divided by 5, you get 0.6. So 5 3/5% is the same as 5.6%. So now we could go back to the original problem, and we could just remove that 5 3/5 and call it 5.6%. So yeah, whenever possible, you want to use decimals with percentages. It's just a more convenient way to go back and forth. So what is 5 3/5% of 70,400, or what is 5.6% of 70,400? All right. So again, what? Well, what? That's the unknown here. So it's basically saying what number is 5.6% of 70,400? So let's, for the what, we'll call that x. Is, that's our equal sign. So what is 5.6%? And so 5.6%, to write this as a decimal. So in the last couple of problems, I divided by 100, and a shortcut for dividing by 100 is to move the decimal point 2 places. So the 5.6% is 0.056. That's the 5.6%. Of, so remember, we have of followed by a number, so that's multiplication. So of is multiply, and we have the number 70,400. Now, don't forget, we're rounding to the nearest whole number. So when we put this into the calculator, we'll probably get a decimal, but we'll round that decimal to the nearest whole number. So let's clear this. So let's say 0.056 times 70,400. And that's 3,942.4, or we'll round that to the nearest whole number, which would be $3,942. So x is equal to 3,942. All right, so for number 4, now this one's a little bit different. Let's do that. So this one's a little bit different. What percent? So we're not looking for a number, we're looking for a percent. Now remember, percent means per 100 or out of 100. So when you see the word what, the symbol we'll give for that is x. And x is just a placeholder for like what number or what value. But when you see what percent, well, now that's no longer a number. It's parts per 100, or we'll call that x over 100. Okay, so for what percent, we'll say x out of 100. Remember, of a number, so of 27. So that means times 27 is, remember, is the equal sign. And 18, well, 18 is already a number, so we have 18. All right, so we have what is, so, or sorry, what percent of 27 is 18. Okay, so x over 100 times 27 equals 18. All right, so now we have to, so our goal here is to solve for x. Let's make this red. So our goal is to solve for x. And so we have to basically remove the 27 and we have to remove the 100. And so we have an equal sign here. And an equal sign, this is like a scale that where both sides are balanced. So if you think about a scale, if you add a little bit of weight to the, let's say if you add a little bit of weight to the left-hand side will go down. But if you add the same amount to the left and the right, the scale will remain balanced. Equations are the same way. You could change one side as long as you change the other side in the same way. So how do we remove times 27? Well, what's the opposite of times 27? Well, opposite of times is divide. So if we take the left-hand side of the equation and divide by 27, well, times 27 and divide by 27, they will cancel each other off. Now, you can't change one side without changing the other side the same way. So we'll have to also divide the right-hand side by 27. And so on the left, we still have the x over 100, and we still have our equal sign. And on the right, we have 18 divided by 27. Remember, fraction means division, division means fraction. So 18, let's come over here to the right, 18 divided by 27, that's like saying 18 over 27. Now, 18 over 27, we could reduce that fraction because 18 is 9 times 2 and 27 is 9 times 3. And so 9 over 9 equals 1, so those 9's cancel. And we're left with 2 over 3. All right, and so still, we want to solve for x. We got rid of the 27. Now we need to get rid of the divide by 100. And opposite of divide by 100 is times by 100. So we'll multiply the left-hand side by 100. So the times 100 and then divide by 100, they cancel. And whatever we do to the left, we have to do to the right. All right, so on the left-hand side, we have x. And on the right-hand side, we have 2/3 times 100, or 2 times 100. So that's 200 divided by 3. So we can look at the 100 as being a fraction 100 over 1. Let's do that. All right, so x is equal to 200 over 3, or if we want to convert that to a decimal, we could come over to the calculator and say 200 divided by 3, and that's approximately equal to 66.7. So either way, we can leave it as a fraction, we can leave it as a decimal. All right, so that does it for problems 1 through 4. I'll have the next few problems on a separate video.